You know, our homes are supposed to be our safe place, but an Albuquerque family says their home feels more like a prison. It's now a target for destructive attacks from their next door neighbor. And as 4 investigator Brittany Costello discovered, the problem is much bigger than just a neighborly dispute, and help seems to be just out of reach.
I was talking to her and I could hear the loud bangs on the door, bang, 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 and then the connection was lost.
It was out of the blue.
He approached me and said, "Why don't you go back where you came from?"
Lomho's family is still cleaning up. Shards of glass, a window into the terror they feel.
I don't know what to do anymore.
Just sitting, talking to us inside his childhood home.
Looks like he's walking through our driveway right now.
On edge, Lomho says these cameras are the only warning they have. After nearly 40 years in a peaceful Northeast Albuquerque neighborhood, they are scared to go outside, scared of what their longtime, once friendly neighbor will do next.
We're just trying to defend ourselves right now and find a way to get this guy the help he needs.
Bill Heitz lives with Lomho's mom. He says their neighbor, Mark Dowdy, started acting strangely a few weeks back. This shirt was the first of many haunting signs to come before they say he turned his rage to their house, throwing this bolt through an upstairs window.
There's a hammer sitting on the patio still because we're too afraid to go get it.
It seemed like whatever their neighbor could find wound up in their home, breaking the front windows, the storm door. Heitz says he took a baseball bat to their garage.
And then he also saw a second swamp cooler motor through the back sliding glass doors, as well as a metal patio table, a metal patio chair, a barbecue grill, and a propane tank.
I've never heard my mom cry ever in my entire life, and she was sobbing and had panic in her voice.
What was she doing during this attack?
She was secluded herself in the bedroom and had called 911, and she was terrified.
Police arrested Dowdy. He told them he thought the neighbor was a Chinese spy, charged him with a felony, but it was a property crime, so he was out of jail a short time later.
You are not to return to the location of the alleged incident.
Lomho says those conditions didn't hold much weight. Dowdy was back on their property a short time later, putting random things on their car, even in front of our cameras.
Do you think this is racially motivated?
I think it's primarily mental illness.
We found Dowdy right next door.
I want to talk to you.
Is there a better time we could come back?
21st.
Of March?
His sister Kathleen Lloyd says her family just learned about Dowdy's escalating mental health crisis.
The mantra in the world today is see something, say something, and that's what we're trying to do. But then the mental health hospital and the cops and all these people say, well, he's got his rights, so we can't just take him and put him in a mental health facility without his permission. I'm thinking, he's ill. How is he going to give permission if he doesn't think there's anything wrong with him?
It's a problem that's actually more common than you may think. Gabrielle Dietrich is executive director with the National Alliance on Mental Health New Mexico. She says even people experiencing a mental health crisis have rights.
Do we know what the perfect answer is? Do we have a magic bullet? No, we do not.
Dowdy's family says that just means they're waiting for something even worse to happen.
If he hurts someone, he gets sent to jail. And then if he tries to hurt himself, then maybe that's where they can get him help or force him to get help. Those are both bad options.
It's obviously not anyone's intention for people to get hurt so that someone can get help. I think the rules that exist again because of shortages, because of gaps in the system.
Gaps. State Senator Jerry Ortiz-Pino says Senate Bill 310 closes. It would give police or crisis response teams the ability to involuntarily take a person in crisis to a triage center.
These are cases where the police officer can see that this person who may be protesting that I don't want to go needs to go.
But even if it clears the roundhouse this year, there are still hurdles, like getting crisis triage centers fully operational around the state.
Las Cruces is the only fully developed one, but Santa Fe has one that's beginning to operate, and in Albuquerque we have one under construction at UNM.
While state policies and facilities rush to catch up, Lloyd says her family is left behind.
My father's neighbors, myself, my father, we have rights too to feel safe in our own homes, to know that if we cannot find the help, there's somebody out there that will step in and say, yes, let's get your brother some help.
At the Ho family home, they are holding their breath, hoping they don't do anything to set him off.
That is what scares me the most. Not knowing what he's capable of.
Dowdy did violate conditions of his release by going back to that house. In a couple of weeks, a judge will look at those violations and determine what happens next. Brittany Costello for Investigates.
And we actually have an update to this story tonight. Lloyd tells us her brother Dowdy is now missing and the family is trying to track him down. What we are seeing in Mark Dowdy's case is sadly all too common here in our state. In fact, 4 investigator Matt Grubbs covered a similar story last year about Christina Castorena Noble. She is the woman police say started a dozen fires in Albuquerque's Bosque last May. And much like the story you just watched, her family says they've spent years trying to get her the help she needs. A competency evaluation showed she's mentally fit to stand trial in a few months, but Castorena Noble is in the Bernalillo County Jail tonight. There are some resources for community members and families going through something like this. We have information at KOB.com about some courses you can take. Now, if you or a loved one is experiencing a crisis, you do have an option to call the national hotline where you can speak to trained professionals. That number, 3 digits, it's simple, 988.